Okay, so we are going to start a new project. It's going to be digital because I think that's probably the best way for us to work with color right now, unless you wanted to experiment with one digital and one physical. If you have the supplies at home to do it physically, you could do one of each, but I would create one digital first because that's going to help inform your second image. So the first thing is that the objective is to use the style of pop artists. For example, vibrant colors, Ben-Day dots, which is like what you see in the background here, where it's like a dot and then it's off a little bit and then a dot. And so it's kind of like that. And exaggerated expressions with thought or speech bubbles. You're going to create a pop art influenced selfie. Now that's a lot, so we're going to move on. So this is some examples of Roy Lichtenstein's work, okay? The first things that I want you guys to think about, and you can talk about as a class, is what is your first reaction to this piece? So what do you notice? What stands out to you the most when you first see this? There's a couple of things that I notice right away, and I'm sure that there are some things that you do too. So I want you to talk about that with your peers and see what is it that stands out to you? What makes you interested in it? What's intriguing about it? What's confusing about it? Okay. Since we have been learning a lot about the color schemes and talking about color schemes, I want you to know on what do you notice about the color palette? Okay, so what do we notice about the color palette? Do we see 20 different colors? Are they muted or are they bold? Do we see breaks with the color where we see those Ben-Day dots? Or do we see full color, solid color? All right, so I want you to think about those things as you're doing this, and you can talk about it as a group. I think that's the best way to go about it, so you can decide what you think and have some perspectives in there. Now, here is another one. This is one piece that you're going to learn about in the last slide. There's a video, or second to last slide, there's a video, and the video talks about this specific piece and how much it sold for. But one big thing that I want you to notice is that he always or often includes a speech bubble or a thought bubble. And I want you to include that in your work. So it's something, what do you think about? Or what's something that you might say often, a little phrase that you say. We oftentimes repeat things and don't even realize it. Or it could be something silly. You could make it like a joke and put like a little image in there of something that you're actually thinking about. Like, let's pretend you're at school. You're like, I really don't feel like doing this project. I'm not interested in this, whatever it may be, or I don't want to do this, math problem, or I'm sick of reading this book. And it's like, what would your thought drift to? Would you be, gaming at home? Would you be going on a hike? Would you be playing your guitar? What are some things that interest you that you might be imagining, or thinking about a piece of cake? Maybe you're hungry. Who knows? So this is something that you guys have probably seen. There is a lot of expression behind pop art. There's a lot of energy behind pop art. There's a lot of color, vibrant color. There's a lot of perspective. When we look at this, we see here there's perspective, and it's used to make it so that it stands out to us. All right, so something we just learned about. And I thought this was cool. Landscape, obviously, I took it from the internet because you see this like logo on it. But I thought this was a cool landscape for you guys to look at because it's just really neat to see the variation of solid colors with the use of those Ben-Day dots. And we have access to that tool in sketchbooks. So that's makes it really easy for you to add those to your work. Okay. So this is a video that I'd like everybody to watch. It's only about 5 minutes about him as an artist, so you can learn a little bit more about him. So you're going to watch that. And then lastly, here is the steps to success. So you have all seen this 4 panel work of Marilyn Monroe done by Andy Warhol. He did this, and this was one thing that made him extremely famous, along with the Campbell soup can work that he had done. So this, though, what I want you to derive from this is that he did in each one a different color palette. Now, I only want you to do 2 variations of the same image you choose to do, just like this, 2 color variations, okay? And then we're going to set them up on a 4 square, just like this. So it'll be like if you did the orange, it'll go orange, teal, teal, orange, not the pink, okay? So you'll only have 2, and we'll make like a little paneling of them. So it says, take an expressive selfie, all right? Make sure it fills the composition. Every single one of these pictures has filled the frame. It's not 10 feet back. You're not standing by the water because you like this photo of you from vacation. It is an up close, expressive photo. All right. Decide 2 color palettes. Begin designing yourself. Oh, supposed to be selfie. Add a thought bubble. Okay. Or a speech bubble with your own creativity. So whatever you want to, like, if you want to be funny about it, go for it. If you just want to say, what time's dinner, you can do that. Okay. So you're going to do that, and we're going to lay the 2 varied color palettes side by side so that we can see them together. Okay. We're going to display them that way. So that is your next challenge. I suggest, like I said, using your iPad, unless you wanted to do one on your iPad, and then from there, because you're going to trace over your picture from there. All right, you might want to try to draw it on your own. I would definitely give you credit for attempting to do it on your own, because it's not easy to do that. So you can do one on your iPad, have the outlines and all the images there, and then take a piece of paper. And if you want that challenge, go for it. Take it. And you can sketch it out yourself. Okay, you could even maybe print it out and trace over it on a window. That would be okay too. And then you'd have to add in the dots and the solid colors using markers or colored pencils. Markers would be best for the dots, and you could color the rest in colored pencil if you needed. So those are your options, and that's what you're going to be completing in the next week. All right, can't wait to see what you make.